We have a lot of athleticism. I think that's I've joked at all the catbackers. If we have a dunk contest, you got four guys at least that can dunk it. So, it's a positive thing as far as that goes. We knew Xavier was a high-level athlete. He's really worked on his shooting. He's probably just physically knowing the game, the level he played at high school competition, he might be a little bit ahead of some of the other guys. Cartier's really physically gifted. On the bench press test, he did 9 on the 185. You put that in perspective. When Kevin Durant came out of Texas, he did 0. So that this is a freshman that has a lot of physical ability. Get to the basket. He's not a bad shooter. He's just got to get a little more consistent. James is, just a big guy. He can run, jump. He's got a lot to learn, as far as that goes. But he put on we kept, during the year, we kept talking to him about gaining weight, and he gained some weight. I'm not sure it's good weight, but, he's worked hard. He has a great attitude, wants to get better. We were talking this morning as a staff. He's kind of that typical big guy. Just it's not clicked yet, and he's learning. But every day he gets a little bit better. Mike and drill. First day he struggled doing it. Now he's doing it. Now he's advancing to the next step. And then Brian Patrick is a very, very good shooter, 3-point shooter, which we talked about. He's got some good size. He also can jump. I think more than anything, just kind of pick up his intensity, learning to play hard all the time. But that will come. So you feel good about him. It gives us competition. Xavier's a great matchup for Corby and Wes. Every day if you don't go hard, he's going to get after you. Cartier gives us another somebody for Barry and Cam to go against. So one of the big things I think we have that we haven't had in a while is we have daily competition in practice, which is really important. That's how you get better. So it just you got more big guys. From James to Dante, Isaiah, adding that to the mix. That helps with practice. Last couple of years we barely have 4 guys. We couldn't go live half the time because we were afraid of somebody else getting hurt. So you have a good group that's athletic that gets after it and brings good competition to practice.
Given how late Cartier picked up basketball, do you feel like you maybe got in on an underrated guy?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. Basketball, he really junior, sophomore years when he really kind of got into it. And I think he didn't play AU, so you don't get on the radar. So he's just very, very physically gifted. And basketball, he's got a little chip on his shoulder, wants to get better. And, so I think we were very fortunate to get somebody of his caliber.
So what are you looking forward to the most on this trip over to Europe?
Well, the big thing you get the 10 extra days of practice, which is such an advantage. We're doing things that, we couldn't address now till October. So you got the daily, the workouts that you're allowed your 2 hours. We go 3 times a week, usually 40 minutes, and that you're doing a lot of skill development, teaching terminology, different things like that. But now we can take that and put it together in practices. So this is our 3rd practice. We'll do 4 in July, and then we'll do 3 in August. So to me it's like spring football. They get those 10 whatever days of practice that they allow them to get idea about some of the guys and teaching and putting the system in. Then the next thing is just the trip. It's a great trip. It's an unbelievable trip. They're going to do things that everybody you grow up seeing the Coliseum when you're a little kid watching movies, or you go to church at the Vatican, the Pope, the whole bit, all this stuff, and going into the mountains, the Alps, things we'll do. But it's a hard trip, and it's a long trip over. A day, you lose a whole night of sleep. The next day you got to play a game. We're going to be keeping them active. Then you're going on bus rides for 4 hours. It's going to be hot, bad gyms, bad officiating. Everything's going to be there, and so that part I think really brings toughness to the group. And then the third thing is just the togetherness, the chemistry. hanging out together, doing things, the players with the players, but also the coaches with the players. I mean, you know, to be at a different, casual, relaxed, walking the streets of Rome, or, you know, in Florence and in a museum, or going through a church, and, you know, all those things that, you know, that's so important. You know, so you got the practice, you know, for the basketball part, you got the toughness part of the trip, and then you got the togetherness and chemistry, and then, you know, the last thing for those guys, just the great memories, lifetime experience, lifetime memories that you know, they'll really appreciate down the road in their life.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe you got kicked out of a game.
Yeah, I did.
You remember what you did?
Oh, it got very, very physical and very, very rough, and I kept talking to the official. You know, officiating's bad. I mean, it's wherever you go. I shouldn't say bad. It's different, and you know, you're in another country. You're getting homered. I mean, it's just part of it. And so that game, I was really afraid of somebody getting hurt. There were scuffles. There was a lot of talking going on, words that shouldn't be used, and I kept telling the guy, you got to control the game, And I'm not sure the last thing, there was a loose ball crazy. It came to me, and I kind of threw it back to him probably a little harder than I should have, and so he booted me, but that was fine. If you go talk to those guys that were part of that trip, one of the things I've heard them say to other people is that they really appreciate it. I had their back. I was there for them. So you see everybody in a different element. Whether it's the relaxing walks through Rome, the learning the history, things like that, or in tough environments. So I think it all adds up to being a positive experience.
What's been the one thing about Xavier that pops to you about his game right now?
The obvious is the athleticism. He guards everybody, and he can guard anybody. Maybe even a 5, he'd use his quickness, but he's guarded 1 through 4 for us, and he does it every day. I mean, he brings that to the table every day. The thing that's maybe surprised me is more his ability to pull up jumpers. He had really worked on his 3-ball. It's a young man that played football, was recruited highly. Every year coming up 4 months, he wouldn't play basketball. And that, you miss all that time. And then you're scrambling and trying to play games a week after you left the football field. And they went to the state playoffs deep into it, so it wasn't like he was losing in October and then he was ready to go. He was going into November, right up to the basketball season. So I think, he worked on his 3 last year, really improved it. But now, hitting some pull-up jumpers, doing some things that maybe he didn't get to show in high school and AAU.
How are Dante and Isaiah progressing?
Probably Dante, I think 2 biggest surprises, Corby and Dante. Corby last year missed a couple months with his knee. It was so hard. It was all new to him, and he was behind because he missed so much. He's really, he's not only worked on his shot, worked on his body, and then, really understanding the game, what we're asking, and maybe accepting his role, understanding what he is and what he can do, and then doing those things. And then Dante, I didn't know. I mean, he worked out last year for a week, in the beginning, and then his foot started hurting. He didn't really do anything. He came back a little bit in December, and then the foot reacted, and then they had the surgery. So, we just didn't know how much, but we've got a lot out of him. He's been full go in the practices, and he's got to keep up with the game a little better, conditioning wise. But he's done some good things. And then Isaiah just, he got the practice, so we kind of have some feel of it. Of what he can do. He's got athleticism. He's got some skill. Got to get a little tougher inside. Physical. I think that's his next big step. But he gives us definitely some athleticism with size that maybe we didn't have last year.
How much different is Wes with his shot now?
Even he mentioned the other day he came to practice and. There's a definite difference. He was so much left eye. You always look for a positive. He had the foot injury last year, didn't practice at the end. All we could do was shoot, with him, and then through the whole spring. But the whole thing is, I think he finally realized, hey, I got a chance, and if I really want to play, a year from now at, whether it's the NBA or the D League or overseas and make money for a while in my life, I got to help my shot. And so I think he was, ready to change. I think that's the biggest thing, and he's really put the time in. And there'll be days you come here 6:30 and he's here, and he doesn't have to be 6:30 in the morning. And so he's coming in and doing extra and putting a lot of time in. Now, I think he's changed it. Just I call it form shooting, basic shooting with no one there. Now it's got to become natural in the game, and if he can make open threes and make pull-ups 6, 7, and all the other stuff he can do, all defensive Big 12, became a good distributor. He's a guy like the Iguodalas of the world that can be in the league for a while and do some things. But he's got to bring that to the table if he's going to have that opportunity.
Isaiah still being here means he's eligible, right?
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah. I couldn't get into it last year much. It was he went to a prep school. They didn't count a couple of his cores. Again, this happens so much universal. People say go to these schools and no one checks on it. And now, later on it's too late. I've kind of joked. I promise he was one core away. He had a test score. He had everything. We could have fought it and gone to court, but we didn't. We made that decision, to just live with it. And it gave him a year of a red shirt, and it's going to help him definitely down the road.
Do you have an update on what you want to do with the open scholarship?
We've still been looking. Somebody popped up last week. We thought maybe we had a chance. If something's there, we'll fill it. Craziness happens in college basketball. You just saw the young man from Nebraska that late. I mean, things happen, but we're happy with the group we have. I'm very fortunate to have good walk-ons from Zach to Austin to Mason to Pearson. We got and now Cade Kinnaman's joined us. We got a good group, and if we have the scholarship open, we'll definitely use it for one of those guys like we did with Brian Roletter last year.
Anything else for Coach?
What's your pulse on this team? And what's good about it?
I think the best thing is the fun part is they're coachable. They're a good group. They listen. We got depth. We got better depth than we've had the last 2 years. We have better competition in practice. It gets pretty feisty, which is good. And now you got to stay healthy, obviously, and keep getting better and figure out your roles. But it's a good group. I think we have a chance to be pretty good. And the health is a factor. The development of the big guys, and how much the freshmen can give us will be the big question.
I mean, tangibly though, it feels like a right team.
Yeah, I mean, we have a chance. We have a chance to be pretty good. I say that with some confidence, but at the same time know that things got to fall in place for it to really happen.
Do you see any drop off with Kamau at all, or is he the same guy he was before?
He's a little rusty, but he had yesterday he had his best day he's had in a while. I think he thought it was going to come back a little easy. He's fine, but when you don't, it's like anyone else. We had 5 guys in boots in April, so it's taken a while for Isaiah. He was in a boot. Wes was in a boot. Cam was had surgery. Even DJ had another surgery and was in a boot. So all those guys that you can tell a little rust here and there, and that's why these 10 days are so valuable to get your rhythm back and I think Cam thought it was going to come back a little easier, just kind of natural, but it'll come over the course of the next few weeks. He'll be fine.